choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard. Because that goal will serve to organize and measure the best of our energies and skills. Because that challenge is one that we're willing to accept, one we are unwilling to postpone, and one we intend to win.
Good morning, Insurance Syndicate. Happy Thursday. Hope everybody is having a phenomenal day. Got my buddy John Gavin here. It's funny, I call you Gavin, and then everyone thinks your first name's Gavin, and I'm like,
nobody knows my first name. Nobody does, and I'm okay with that.
Well, everyone calls me Wetmore too, but when I call you Gavin, they're like, Gavin who?
Yeah,
I'm like, no, John Gavin.
Hey, so. Starbucks thinks my name is Gavin too, so.
I love it, dude. Well, appreciate you getting on, dude. Again, for those of y'all that don't know, this is my buddy John Gavin. We have been, it's been a journey. I don't even know how long we've been in business together.
It's been a while.
It feels like it's been like 8 years or more. I don't know. It's been a while.
Yeah.
One of the few that we've done almost this whole journey together.
I remember the first time I met you, and it was funny because I heard you on calls and heard you talking, and for some reason I thought you were this old dude, like 60 or so, and not that 60's old, but I'm almost there myself. But
it was when we started, bro.
But we're on a bus, and we're at a theme, and I always heard you talk, and I always, it was always interesting, always good stuff, and I heard someone yell Wetmore. I'm like, Wetmore, that's that one dude, and I whipped around. You're sitting behind me on a bus, and it was you, and I'm like, what? It's not what I was expecting, because this is back when we had phone calls, just calls.
Yeah.
And the picture I had was just this older, buttoned up dude, and then I turned around and you're sitting there. You're like, "What up, dude?" I'm like, "Here he is."
It's about how I say it too.
That was it too.
I have never heard that, and I did not know I was thought of sound like an old man.
That's what I thought. Hey, that's just the perception I had. I was wrong though. I was wrong.
Yeah. Most people that meet me at the first time, the most common thing I get is they thought I was going to be short.
Oh, really?
They're like, dang, I thought you were a little short guy. And I'm like, that's weird.
It's weird. With the visuals now and the video, you wouldn't think that, though.
Yeah. No, it's maybe how I do the wrong way. So I get all how do I adjust? I don't know. So it's funny, though. We were talking right offline. I think we're kind of becoming the old dudes in insurance now.
100% we are. Yeah.
I couldn't get my AirPods working, Joe. I know. I'm not a techie. And we were talking about how our kids are now our IT support.
Yeah, 100%.
Dude, funny enough, I'm going to tell them this. John called me, I don't know, 30 minutes ago. How do I get on? What buttons do I push? Do I have to download software?
Oh, my God. The fears of being old is the thing that stresses you out. Will I be able to get on? New things scare me.
Man, well, we're going to have some fun with this, dude, because as I told you offline, and everybody else knows this, I don't have a script and I don't have questions prepared. So we're just going to kind of wing it and have fun.
Love that.
And maybe we'll talk about our kids or the weather, or maybe we'll talk about insurance. Who knows? It's been a journey, dude. We were just talking about our kids. How old were your young? Maddox was 9 months old, dude, when I started. He's 11 now, almost 12.
Mine were 2 and 3 when I got into the business. Yeah, 2 and 3 when I got into the business. Yeah. Well,
and now all teenagers.
Yeah, I remember because I was so broke at the time that my 3-year-old wanted to go to the zoo. So I took her to Petco and told her it was a zoo because I didn't have enough money to get into the actual zoo. So here's the gerbil section here. And we got
dude. Is that real?
That's for real. Oh, yeah. Yeah, we were stuck in traffic one time. I told her we were at a parade. You got to get creative when you got no money.
So if I didn't intro you right, this has got to be the funniest dude in insurance. I love hanging out because every time we hang out, I'm like in tears. You're the best smelling dude I know.
Thank you.
And you're funny as shit.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Man.
Yeah.
Oh Lord. So give them a little background, man. I know what I definitely want to talk about. What my favorite thing about kind of your style is how well you simplify what others would make complicated products and sales. And so I definitely want to get into that, but give them a little background, dude. I know you didn't come up with money, but you had money for a minute, you lost money, and you made money again. Like, give them a little bit of the journey.
Yeah. So I was, short deep dive was I was raised in a house where we had no money, and so nobody taught me about it because nobody knew about it, and we weren't poor, but we lived in a house that when something broke, it stayed broke. When the batteries died in something, the toy is broken because we didn't get any batteries. That type of house. So when I started making money early on, because I got a pretty good job. I was going to college for a bit, and I got an offer to make some good money somewhere, and I took it. And that was the start of my I like shiny things period that didn't end for quite a while. And so I was always buying new stuff and didn't know how to manage money. And I left that to get into the mortgage business where I made even more money and bought even shinier, newer, bigger stuff. And then when the housing market crashed, I wasn't prepared for that. And I lost everything. And that's when I had my kids. They were actually 0 and 1 when that happened. And so I searched around for something for a while and eventually found the insurance business. And during the recession.
What year did you lose it all? Because I think we lost everything together and didn't know each other. It was like 07, 08, right?
08, right around there. Yeah. Yeah. The last thing to go was the house. I had some little bit of equity in the house, sold that, but it was a fire sale, dude. I was selling furniture. I was getting rid of everything I could.
They took mine. So you got to sell yours.
I sold the house, but only because the realtor didn't know it was actually in foreclosure. Because they could have got a lot better deal had they done some homework. They didn't do that, I was like 3 days away from auction when it actually closed. So I was like, I'm going to throw it all out there because I got nothing to lose. But I'm going to try and sell this thing. And they closed 3 days before the auction. So I got lucky there.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Taking away on flatbeds. What's that?
Yeah. And then how'd you find insurance? You worked for a couple places. Obviously, before
I got I was looking for jobs all the time. Like I was applying for everything I could at the time. Like I applied for a job as a milkman and wrote a cover letter saying I love dairy. I applied. I was going through a divorce and I applied as a dating coach and said I love love. And nobody still hired me. And then I saw one ad and it was for insurance or sales, and so I applied for it. And it was an insurance company. That's how I actually got it out of necessity, not like I was looking to get into the insurance business, but they were actually the only people that would hire me at the time, and did that for a little bit.
Hire anybody.
Yeah, exactly. So did that for a little bit, and I was actually going back into the mortgage business, and in 11, when my first day of work, somebody came up to me and said, "Hey, are you looking to make some extra money?" At that time, there's no such thing as extra. I just needed some money, and so he showed me like the independent world of selling insurance, and I started doing that, and I got some leads, and at the time, going broke was probably the best thing that happened to me because it humbled me a lot. I was willing to do anything it took to support the kids and family I had. And so when he gave me some leads to call, I didn't need a script. He didn't need to tell me what to do. I just knew these people were interested in buying some insurance. So I just called him up, told him I was coming over, and some people bought, some people didn't. And eventually I got better at it, and then, then that's how the independent world started. And it just kind of took off from there, Yeah.
So you made money pretty early in insurance? Like, did you suck like I did? Like I was terrible, dude. I made okay money, but I wasn't that disciplined, I wasn't disciplined with, I started making a little bit of money again. And I did,
but it's all comparative to now. And I wrote insurance, I should say. I learned a lot about keeping stuff on the books over time. You
got some checks. I
Yeah,
understand, brother.
So that's a big difference. You learn about persistency and that sort of thing over time. Selling insurance is just the first step, keeping it.
Did you buy more shiny things right away?
I did not. No, that's the one thing I learned is I lived broke for 5 years. I didn't do for the first 5 years. I learned my lesson. When you're in the free bread line once, you don't want to go back there again. So I didn't buy anything shiny for quite a while. In fact, I wore the same shoes for 5 years. And finally, they started leaking from the bottom up. And I'm like, okay, now I can get new shoes. So I'm like, hey, I'm not screwed. I'm too old to do it. I'm not 30, so I couldn't start all over
shoes
again.
Were they? Do you still have them?
No, I don't have them anymore.
Office or anything?
I think they actually just turned to dust. So they just got through them out. Just turned to dust and disappeared. Yeah. So, but yeah, dude, I didn't buy anything for a long time. I wanted to make sure that I actually was stable. And kids changed everything for them. If it was just me, I might have lived a little bit differently. But you look at those two little kids and taking them to Petco all the time. It's like I need to make sure this is stable before I start spending money.
Oh man.
So
we came home with gerbil. What are they called? Is it gerbils? What are those little hamsters?
Yeah.
We came home with, maybe they're the same. I don't know. We came home with hamsters one day from Petco. 3 of them, one for each of the kids. And Steph was pissed, dude. Do you know about with the hamster? Like I let the kids buy pets and then they don't.
Oh yeah, I had
we bought hamsters. Those things are nasty, dude.
Yeah.
And one hamster ate the other hamster.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Cannibals.
And so I asked Steph about it one day. She'll go on this whole journey about hamsters.
Really?
I let Maddox
I
buy
didn't know they're
chickens.
cannibals.
Yeah, ours were. They were ruthless little things.
Yeah.
So now I'm not allowed to take the kids to Petco because I come home with crap and
we had one get out when I was a kid and my dog ate it and I was scarred for life after that. And I was like, yeah, I don't need to see National Geographic in my living room anymore. Like the dog is cool. That's all I need.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah.
So a theme trip. I didn't know that's where we met, dude, for the first time. I remember being there, but I didn't know.
It was the first. Well, we didn't actually meet. I just turned around and you said, "What up, dude?" And that was about the extent of it.
That was it.
Yeah, that was it.
I was an a-hole then too. Is that what you're saying?
No, you're nice. And then
Okay.
and then later on, I don't know how we actually started. I think we met at a conference.
I know Greece was our first time getting close.
Yeah, yeah. We talked before that at a conference. We talked a little bit
Yeah.
about some stuff, and then Greece was the first time that we actually hung out.
Yeah, that was dope.
I remember sitting around
talking a lot in the. Go ahead. Go.
I remember just sitting around talking in Greece and how to build it. It's kind of interesting to see, where we were at that point. Yeah, it's changed a lot.
Bro, thank God someone else paid for that trip, right?
Oh dear God, yeah. Somebody said when you go on a trip and you can't afford the incidentals, you shouldn't be on the trip. I'm like, what do you mean? I would never gone on any trips, I remember just sliding my card everywhere we went for incidentals, just going, please God, please God, please God, please God. Yeah.
Dude, I remember I laughed for 6 straight days.
Oh, yeah.
Dom, man, what a trip he was.
So many
That was a fun trip. That was a fun trip.
It's not too often you get that many people together and they just get along that well, for a long period of time.
Yeah, we've all been super tight since then. It was a good trip. Yeah. But Athene, I remember, so at that Athene trip, I don't remember what year that was. That was early.
Yeah, super early.
Is that before you knew what the hell you were doing with annuities? Or is that
100%.
after? That was before, wasn't
100%.
it? Yeah. I'm still gonna there was a day where somehow I was better at annuities than you. Cause I remember, I'll never let this go. You definitely called me to go how do I do it? You asked how I did it. I'm like, you're calling me? But I don't know. I just ask, and every once in a while they hand me one.
Yeah, I couldn't close any. My first 13 people I sat with, I didn't close them, and I remember one guy was on
annuity sales specifically.
Yeah, on annuity sales.
Annuity specific. Got
it. First 13 annuity presentations, I didn't close them. No, it was the first 9. The first 9 I didn't close. One was a Superior Court judge, and he had me come back 7 times. And on the 7th time, I came back and I was just like, can you please just let me go? Because he had all this records and research and all this stuff, and I have to look at it and didn't understand it. So I went back and got information. I brought it back to him, and then And finally, just please leave me alone. I just want to go. I don't want to do this anymore, you know. And then the next 4 that I wrote canceled on me, and so I was 0 for my first 13. Yeah. And then I knew I was doing something wrong then, because other people around me like you were closing them. I'm like, how do you guys close these things? Because I just can't, you know. And I kind of figured out some things. I figured out that I was using everybody else's words and everybody else's approach and everybody else's information, and trying to like just make it like a Frankenstein approach to it. And it just wasn't me. Yeah. And when you're not confident in what you're saying, then nobody's going to have confidence in you. So I just really dumbed it down, and then it worked out.
Now you've sold like gajillions of dollars.
A little bit.
I mean, I don't know. Do you know how much?
I think 12, roughly 15 million, something like that.
Yeah.
Right around there.
And then plus you've taught a ton of people to do it.
Yeah, we've got about, my agent, I'm pretty proud of the fact that a lot of my agents write annuities, and because I know that helps them a lot. What's that? Y'all
kill it in annuity sales now.
We do about $2.5 million a month, 30 million a year now.
Yeah, that's sick, dude. What'd you learn? What'd you learn? What can you give them for? And I've heard your presentation, dude. I share it still, like one of those old ones back in the day when we do calls. I still have that call somewhere.
I think that the biggest problem with annuities is that a lot of people mistake training on annuities versus helping a client with them. So a lot of people think they have to train their client on annuity products and how they work, when we don't, you know.
Break that down, dude. I follow, but
so
give some clarity to that.
So everyone thinks they need to know everything there is to know about annuities. They need to know, you know, the roll-up rates, the indexing strategies, the different riders, how they work. People think they need to know what annuity companies do with the money that people deposit with them. And that is good to know. But when it comes down to it, when you meet with people, especially in today's market, and when the market shifts, we'll have to change approaches. But for right now, people just say, I just don't want to lose any more money. You know, how does that feel? How has it done over the last year? Well, I've lost, if they know, they say lost about 18%. If they don't know, they say I lost a lot. If they know a little bit, they say I lost X amount, and we're looking at people that are retired or retiring. Can you imagine that's what you have to live off of? And it just depreciated or lost 18, 20, 22%, and it could lose potentially another 10, 20% more. We don't know, and so when at the simplest form, I had to understand what an annuity is, if you take all the different training that's out there, and there's a lot of, you got this bucket here and this bucket here and all that stuff, and once you start talking about that, you're going to confuse people. But annuity is just basically it's an interest-bearing deposit with an insurance company. Basically, you give them X amount of money, they're going to give you Y amount of interest based off of how something else does. That's it. It's that simple. When we get into the weeds and we think we need to say more than that, we start confusing people, and confused people don't do anything. And so, at the simplest form, it's just an interest-bearing deposit with an insurance company. You're not going to lose anything because it's not invested in anything. Okay. Yep. So
the deeper they get, the more fear the client has that if they don't pick just the right thing, they might lose more money.
100%. Yep. Got it. And then it starts to sound too difficult. And then, there's two sets of confidence here. You have the confidence that the agent has, or the client has in the agent, but also the agent has in themselves. Because if they don't 100% believe in the words that they're saying, they don't have that conviction it's going to take for the client to believe in them. And I think the more information they try and provide, the lower that confidence goes down. And so if you just tell them, hey, we can eliminate all the losses because your money's not going to be invested in the market anymore. That's simple. Oh, by the way, we have products that have bonuses, so you can recoup some of the losses that you had over the previous year. How does that sound? That sounds awesome. Okay, great. In most cases, we can either eliminate or reduce the fees that you're paying on a monthly basis. Because I just had a conversation with someone the other day, and he said, I lost 18% last year, or from this time last year, and the part that sucked the worst was I paid somebody 1% to lose it for me. So, yeah, I get that. So we cannot lose it and it's not going to cost you anything at all because we do have products with no fees. So we eliminate all the losses. You're not going to suffer any more market losses. So your baseline is your baseline. We're going to recoup some of the loss that you had from last year because we have products that have bonuses too. We can either eliminate or reduce the fees that you're paying. But the best part about it is these products are they've advanced quite a bit over the last specifically 5 to 10 years. Is that when the markets do bounce back, whether that's next year or the year after that, you're going to gain a significant amount of interest. You know, we don't have the products of 30 years ago that had a 1% fixed rate on them or a 3% cap. You know, I've got current statements of mine that I can show clients. Everything's redacted, so they can't see whose it was, but we can show, you know, gains between 2016, 2018 of 32, 34% over a 2-year time frame. That changes your retirement pretty quickly. And that's gaining on the full amount, not a reduced amount. You're never, when all your friends are recovering from their losses, you're going to be gaining on your full amount because you haven't lost anything.
That's sick. What do you think the biggest, besides the fear and stuff, what do you think the biggest hurdle is to people not making those sales or not find, you know what I mean? Like, aside from just straight fear, like what are they missing?
I think it's understanding the difference between life insurance sales and annuity sales, because it is a little bit of a slower process. So it's not like life sales, we go in, we sell it, we move on. With annuity sales, you're talking to somebody that most likely has not heard about your product, or if they have, they might have little negative connotations to it.
Yeah, so from the old variable type
exactly
stuff.
Yeah. So when you're talking to somebody, you got to understand they're looking at moving their money that took 40 years to put together in one vehicle and ask them to move it to something completely different. So I slow down and I talk about, you know, I do talk about the company, the strength of the company, and you know, all the backing of it, the financial strength of it, because people don't want to move to something that's fly by night. You know, they want to make sure it's secure. And so I do spend some time talking about that because a lot of times this is something new to people. And to be honest with you, if somebody says, if I talk to somebody, say, yeah, I want to do that, let's do that now, I slow them down because that person's going to wake up the next day, talk to the first person they see and tell them, oh my God, you just lost all your money. You know? Yeah. So you gotta slow things down a little bit. And I think if people understand that the process itself is a little bit different, it takes a little bit more time, then they'll slow things down and help the client get more comfortable.
What advice can you give people on like identifying opportunity?
It's everywhere. It really is. It's everywhere. And it's that simple. But the thing about it is it's crazy that when they're training new agents or agents that haven't written any annuities, when you tell them to just keep looking for the money, I've got agents in the same area working where agent A can't ever find money. Nobody has it. But agent B in the same area has written $3 million in this year in annuities. You know, so what's the difference in the two? One's looking for it, one's really not, you know, and I think it's just, you know, getting the full financial inventory, getting all the information from the client, identifying, the assets that they have. And, you know, because we're there typically to sell life insurance or of some sort, you know, finish what you're there for. Because a lot of people make the mistake of finding money and then going right after that and then forgetting what they're there for. You know, that's part. I don't even bring that up until after we're done, you know, and it's just, we do have a responsibility to get all the financial information from people because we need to know what their current situation is, and asking, you know, what else do you have that acts like life insurance? Anything that would be transferable upon your death, any 401ks, IRAs, that sort of thing, you know, asking that is part of what we do. And so you identify it, finish what you're there for. And then the last, you know, just before I wrap things up, I say, hey, you know, in regards to this 401k you got here, you know, how has it done over the last 12 months? Well, I know they've lost. You know, nobody's going to tell me anything different. You know, so I've lost some money. Oh, how'd that feel? Well, I don't have any time right now, but, you know, set up a future appointment. Say, hey, it only takes me about 10 to 15 minutes to show you how to eliminate all the losses out of your accounts. You won't have to feel like that again. And then you set it up. And it's really simple.
Cool. You IUL guy too? Do you sell?
Yeah, I do.
Dude, something's changing in like the world of the view of that kind of money, future money, retirement. What's the Break that down a little bit. I can see it happening. It's wild to watch.
I think that IULs are something that, obviously they've been around for quite a while, because I had my first one when I was 25. I just didn't know what it was. And so I'm like, I got this thing and it's like a retirement, but like life insurance. I don't really know what it is, and I built up some cash value to it. And, when in 2008, I cashed it out. Wish I hadn't, because I redid an illustration to see where I'd be at now. And it's rough. So So I think exactly. So I think that with IULs, I think they're becoming more mainstream. People are understanding the strength of them. I think people are becoming more aware of how indexing works as a whole. And for those of you who aren't, familiar with the term indexing, that's applying interest based off of how a certain index has performed, but you're not actually in there. So there's no losses. So there's the whole IULs, annuities, the whole indexing products are becoming more mainstream now because of their strength. We're starting to see the results from them, and there's different ways you can apply them too.
Dude, is it based, like the whole indexing thing works? Is it just because the insurance companies know what they make all in relative to that indexes? I mean, is it that simple? They just kind of know where they're at with everything they invest in?
I mean, it that could be it, but it also could be, there's so many limitations to the other, and they're making some 401ks more restrictive now, and I've seen some regulations that are up for votes that make things even tighter. And actually, they're loosening them up because of the fact that they're losing out because they know that the 401ks and IRAs are too restrictive. But annuities or IULs don't have those same restrictions. So you can grow an IUL and pull out from it before 59.5, where you get penalties with your traditional retirement accounts. And so you can overfund it more than you can put into a 401k and an IRA. So there's a lot more different options. And I think people are just more aware of those.
Yeah. How do you, I remember you and I talking about this years ago, dude. Like, and maybe it's changed because it's been so long since we've had these types of conversations as like trying to sell them every day. Yeah. But like the struggles with like the guys who sell the other products and the client getting all the negatives from your product and how, you know what I'm saying? Like the financial guys and what can you talk about that? Like how to either deal with it or overcome it, or if it's changing or.
Well, to me, that's easy. Well, the first thing is I've got a lot of friends that are financial advisors. And so I ask what their input is on things, and they'll tell me the real deal. When I have clients that I speak to and they talk to their advisor and they come back with some negative things to say, I just send them back to their advisor to ask some good questions.
Okay. Like
hey,
what?
Do you have anything that you can absolutely guarantee and put it in writing that I'm not going to lose any money? No, they don't.
Solid question.
Do you have anything that's going to guarantee I have no fees, no charges, no internal charges, no 12B-1 fees, no internal fees? Do you have any? Can you put that in writing that you won't have? You have a product available that has no fees? No, I can't. Okay. So you don't have anything in writing that says that I'm not going to lose any of my money, and you don't have anything that you're going to show me that doesn't cost me anything, even when I am losing money. So why would I trust somebody like that? I'll put it in writing that you're not going to lose anything. I'll put it in writing in an illustration, a guaranteed section of an illustration that shows we have products with no fees, that your guaranteed minimum amount is the amount that you rolled into that. Now, if he can show you the same thing, awesome. But if he can't, why would you trust him? And I'm not saying financial advisors are bad people, because my friends are advisors. They do great for the people who are in the accumulation phase, people that are trying to put away for their retirement. So when the market goes down and you're still contributing to it, you're buying shares at a lower price, and those are going to grow, and then your account grows. That's great. But for our clientele, the people who are looking at retiring or retired, they're not contributing anymore. They need to make what they have last. And so in the markets today, you don't have to know much about the stock markets, this or that. You just have to know up or down. Like if you look at where the stock market's gone over the last 12 months, it goes like that. It's down. I know what down is. That means money went down too. If it went the other way, I'm like, hey, you're doing good, but you're not, because it's going down. And so you just need to know up or down, losses or gains, and advisors will say some crazy stuff to keep their money. They're going to charge them 1% typically, whether they're gaining or losing. They're just trying to keep that money there so they don't lose their income. And they just don't have the tools that we have. They don't have anything that has no losses. They don't have anything that has no fees. And then I always ask people, I said, so your advisor's telling you that you need to diversify your portfolio, right? And they're like, yeah, he's got me 60% in bonds and 40% in equities. I go, great. Do you know why he does that? And they're like, no. Okay. Well, the bonds are safer. They're not going to lose much money and they're not going to gain much, but they're safe. So 60% of your money is safe. The 40%, then you have the ability to grow. That has the ability to grow, but it has the equal ability to lose. Okay. Yeah. So instead of having 40% have the ability to grow and 60% safe, why don't we protect this and 100% of it is safe and 100% of it grows? Doesn't that make more sense? Like, yeah.
Simplicity, dude. Simplicity.
Simple. Up and down. I learned that on Sesame Street. Up and down.
Stupid. Love it. Hey, as usual, y'all watching, if you have any questions, feel free to put them in. I'll put them up if you got anything good. I want to talk, dude. I'm going to switch a little bit. It's funny watching insurance agents as a whole, who want to achieve whatever in life. And then when it comes time to sacrifice, they you know what I'm saying? Like they probably ain't willing to do what it takes. You've done some crazy stuff to make this work over the years. Yeah. Your kids were like on the other side of the state, some big mountain. We've had a lot of conversations like that. Kind of explain, dude, because you've been out there in the field, final expense, mortgage protection, like you on a grind, in-home sales, like you did that deal. What, man, tell them a little bit about that. I remember the apartment. You had an apartment over there, like near the kids. Didn't you have one near the kids just so you could see, like, some crazy stuff, dude, to make this work?
So when I first got started, I was on a good day 4 hours away from my kids, and there was a big mountain separating us. So snowy days, we got delays, and sometimes it was closed. And on the weekends, I was going to go see them. I couldn't see them, and it killed me because the pass was closed, and I'd go another 2 weeks without seeing my kids. And at that age, they grow a little bit, and so I was willing to do anything to get closer to them, anything. And I think that's what helped me out, because this business is a grind in the beginning. You got to put the work in. And the fact that my kids were so far away, and if I didn't work and I didn't find a way to succeed, there's times I wasn't going to be able to see them. So there's those things that we do that we want to, and there's things that we do that we have to. Okay. We want to sell a lot of insurance. Okay. We want to have a great day. When you lose everything, when you put something so far above anything else, then it's a have to. I have to sell a lot of insurance. I have to find a way. I have to do this. So the want to was taken off the table, because now I have to. And so I did some stuff, and it was a rough go early on. There's times where my gas gauge on my car, because I got rid of the nice cars and I got a car that wasn't nice, and the gas gauge didn't work. So I had to do math every time I filled up. I'm like, okay, so
shut up.
No, dead serious, dude. Okay, so there's a couple times my math was off. And that's probably why I got holes in the shoes, because I ran out of gas twice and I had to walk a little bit, But I just didn't care, because I'd want to go see my kids. And so I'd go out and map out. I knew how much gas I put in. I'd do the math on how many miles I could drive. I'd map out my appointments. I'd map out door knocks in between those too, to make sure I can get to them. And I only missed it twice and ran out of gas twice, But would somebody normally do that is paying their bills and doesn't have the carrot on the other side of the mountains? Probably not, but I took want to off the table. And I told myself every morning I have to, and I got up every day and did it, and I think that a lot of people right now that have that choice choose not to do hard because it's hard, because not running those last few appointments, not spending more money than you want to on leads, not pushing away the barbecues, the birthdays, all the get-togethers, all of that is hard. But in order to really succeed in life, you have to go through hard to get to the other side.
Yeah. Did you sell closer to where you lived or where they lived?
I started off close to where I lived, and then I made it a point to where if I was going to see them, I was going to run appointments as well too. So I did both. Yeah.
Didn't you eventually get an apartment over there or something?
Yeah.
So you could stay when you saw. I vaguely remember you calling me about this.
Yeah. So what happened was I got stable, and I had our company started up, and I started making real money, and not money I had to give back all the time, So I made real money.
If you know, you know.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So in the first 6 weeks, I made enough money because obviously you can just imagine what my credit score was, and I couldn't, anytime I applied for any place.
Tell us, please.
What was my credit score?
Yeah, hell yeah, I want to know.
It was in the 4s, which I was proud of because it wasn't the lowest one I ever saw was a 398, but it was in the 4s. So it was like there, when you can't get an apartment, you can't get anything with that, and so I made enough money I went to a house over there and it was for rent. And I said, hey, look, I know my credit sucks. I know what I'm dealing with. Okay. But I'll pay you 9 months up front if you let me rent your house. Okay. And they did. So that's what I did was I rented a house that was 5 minutes from my kids, and I didn't tell them, I came to get them. And usually when I went over there, we'd stay in a hotel and we'd, go do, cheap stuff. And then I'd go back home. But
so you didn't bring them back home originally. You'd go and figure out how to stay there.
It was half and half, yeah.
Got it.
So I would bring them back home sometimes, and sometimes I'd just go over there.
So 4 hours to go get them, 4 hours home, have them for a weekend, bring them back.
Exactly. Yeah. So I got a house there 5 minutes down the street from them. So I picked them up, and at this time they were 4 and 5, I think they were, something like that, maybe 5 and 6. And so I brought them over to the house, and that was their first house with me because they didn't know any better, what they didn't know when they were younger, and so I rented that house out, and that's when, things changed. And so I would come over there rather than seeing them for a day or two, because the travel time was still part of the time I saw. I got 1 day with them because I was traveling for a full day to go get them, and then I had to bring them back. So I got 1 day with them. But now I'd go over there for 5 or 6 days at a time. I got to see them all the time. And then, and I'd run business while I was there too, just because got to keep going. Yeah.
Now life is a lot different today.
So much different now. Well, it's kind of funny because
Hawaii.
Yeah.
I see it. I like watching y'all's adventures. It's cool to see.
Yes, we got it pretty good. And the good thing about it is the one of the places I lived while I was here, because things changed, and I was actually renting a garage at one point, and because I tried to move out here the first time when I first got divorced, and it didn't work out so well, and I ended up in someone's garage. There was no car or anything in there. It was like a mother-in-law apartment. So it was like a bed and a fridge. And I stayed there for a little bit. And now, things have changed now. We built this house and everything. And I tell my kids, they're pretty humble kids. And if they get a little bit ahead of themselves, I'm like, hey, I'm sure that garage is still open because we'll move back there. We'll get rid of everything, move back. It's only 5 minutes from here. I know exactly where it is. And I'm sure it's available.
Yeah, I love it, dude. What was the turning point? Like, when did you know, like, dang, like it's all worth it now? Was there a time, or do you remember? Like, when you finally figured out, like, damn, I got this thing figured out, and kind of like made it, you know what I mean?
I think that because my mindset had changed so much, I used to base things off of the things that I had, and now we're comfortable, It's, we're still working hard. I want my kids to see me working every single day and that sort of thing. But financially, things took a turn a few years ago, but it wasn't any like moment because I didn't look at it. I just kept working throughout the whole time. And I knew that once I looked at it and thought we're okay, I didn't want to let off on the gas. So there was a point in time where, all the bills are paid, everything, got no financial stress or worries or anything like that. The lowest point was when, I know I got a ton of these stories, but the lowest point was I was taking my daughter to get cough medicine and my card got declined. And she's standing there, I'm holding her hand and my card gets declined for cough medicine. And then they go, I'm sorry, that didn't go through. And so I rushed her out the door. She's like, what about my medicine? I said, your cough isn't that bad anyway, really. So I think my made it point was when I could buy her medicine, and not worry about it. And everything was paid for and we don't have any financial stress anymore.
The simple things in life.
You take them for granted until they're taken away.
Amen, brother.
And then you just gotta realize where you're at, and I think I will say that I think that the turning point for me, actually, there was a point, was when I was able to help others. When we were taken care of enough where there's some family members that were in some having some issues, and I was able to turn back and say, no, I got you. I'll help you. And I think that was it, because I knew we were taken care of well enough to where I can help some family members out in their current situation. And that, it was something that was by no means something they did to themselves. It was a health issue. And that was when I knew that we were going to be okay, because now we've got enough to go help others. And I think that's the difference for me.
Yeah, I love it, dude. Let's finish up with like some team building stuff. You've obviously built a large enough team that you were able to have your agency acquired. Yeah. Fortunately, you and I both integrity partners, managing partners. It's been a fun journey. But building this thing is one hell of a pickle. It's like one of those Rubik's cubes that has like 8 this way and 8 that way.
Yeah. It's a tough one.
It is a tough one. I like the puzzle of it all. It's been fun, but what's some thoughts on it, or advice, or what have you learned from building, or whatever you want to talk about?
I'm still learning every day. I'm still learning every single day. And that's just it. I think that, in building it, when I first started, I made every mistake you possibly think of. And I still make them, not the same ones, but other ones, and I think that early on, I would find an agent and I'm okay, I've got an agent here and he's going to be awesome. And he's going to sell a lot of insurance and he's going to be successful. It's almost like plant a seed and then watering it and it doesn't grow, and you water it some more and you water it some more and you water it some more. And next thing you know, it drowns. And you're like, you tap it, like, where'd it go? Where'd it go?
I've never heard that one.
It didn't,
I love it.
It never even came out of the ground, but I sat there and I watered it every single day and it never came out of the ground, do that 1,000 times, I realized that you've got to give a lot of people a chance. You don't know who's going to work out, who's not. People will show you by what they do, not by what they say, and who's going to work out. And then, like there's probably nobody better at this than you. Is just teaching others to do the same. Building this through multiplication, not through addition. Helping other people build their agencies. None of us are in this alone. We all work together. And when you focus on one or two people, you're missing out on so many other people. You just have to give people the carrot, let people show you who's willing to work and who's not. You learn the characteristics of somebody early on who has a chance to be successful. The people that don't make excuses, the people that just go to work. It doesn't matter the background. I had a day years ago where I met with 2 people that happened to have the same name. And I brought them both on board. I was so high on one guy because he was the top in the industry where he came from in sales. He had a background of sales. He knew every closing statement. He'd read all these books on sales and high pedigree, high income earner. And the other guy was socially awkward. Same name, same day. And so I was telling everybody about this guy here. Boom, boom, boom. He's going to be so great. He's going to be so great. He's going to be so great. Well, I don't even know his last name because he never did anything. The other guy turned into Brad Allen, who's been a multiple $1 million a year producer.
No way.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. Both named Brad. 2 guys named Brad.
Yeah.
One guy.
I don't know the other Brad.
Don't even know who he is. The other guy, the guy who I was like, yeah, I'll give you a shot, see how you do. Listen to everything we said early on. He was so coachable, so humble, just went out there and worked every day. And now he's one of the best producers in the country.
And definitely not one someone would look at and be like, that's the typical killer agent.
No, not at all.
Awesome, good dude.
So well-rounded. So I think as far as building
part of this,
what's that?
What's the hardest part of this for you? Building.
Taking emotions out of it.
Struggle with the both. Kind of, maybe it's the same thing.
Getting too emotional in the house, getting too emotional with agents, just taking the emotions out of it and standing back and looking at things, without the emotional side of it, the business side of it. And I think the biggest thing too, whether it's selling or growing, is doing what you're doing well consistently. That inconsistent kills us inconsistency kills us because it creates inconsistent results. And in growing, it's not something that happens overnight. You got to do a lot of work consistently for it to work out. It's not instant like sales are.
Yeah. What's the easiest part for you?
The easiest part, I think, is just I love talking to people. I always have.
Yeah.
So that's my comfort zone there. So I think that as far as when I was in the house, people never really felt like I was trying to sell them anything, because I wasn't. I was just there for, to help them out. And I think with agents, same thing. Is I put everybody's best interest before mine, and it just seems to work out.
Yeah. I can't imagine. I would imagine everywhere you go, there's conversations happening. Well, I could sit in a room with like 8 dudes, and none of us say a word, and I would not be uncomfortable at all.
Yeah, no, I'm a talker.
I wish I had the other type of personality someday. I'm working on it. I'm
getting better at toning it down. I'm getting better at toning it down, because when I first started, I talked too much, and somebody told me to be interested, not interesting. I'm like, oh, I like that. I will talk less and I will listen more. Yeah. So that's something I had to get a lot better at.
Yeah. Does Anya tell you to stop talking so much? Is that from her?
She sometimes says
that's
less
his
is more.
wife, by the way. Dude, and to be clear, she's like one of my favorite people. I love her.
She's pretty awesome. Dude, I'm married to one of the
I don't know how you locked her down, by the way.
I'm married to one of the smartest people alive. And sometimes I'll say something, and 7 days later, something will happen, and it teaches me a lesson on what we talked about before. And I'll look at her, and I know it's a lesson, but I haven't quite figured it out yet. I'm like, is this a lesson? And she'll, oh yes, it is. And I'm like, oh man, I learned so much from her through these little life lessons. Yeah.
You've been a trooper along your journey, dude.
Yeah.
And her and Steph together are fun to watch too.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
So let's end with give them something like a takeaway, something people, if you could give advice of something that people could implement today that would change some of their outcome quickly. Just something super tactical. I try to always end with that. Again, not that you haven't given a million things already, but one piece of advice, dude. Whatever you think it is.
I think that for the sales side of things, I think that the people will do better if they always put everyone's best interest before theirs. Understand that you're there to help people out. Yes, we get paid really, really well for what we do, but if you go in there with a servant's mindset, where no matter what, I'm trying to help these people out. When you're on the phone, you're trying to help people out. And sometimes you have to save people from themselves. They don't understand how important what we have is. When you go into a home, you're trying to put them in the best position you possibly can. When you put everyone else's needs before yours and do it for a length of time, your life will get better. And in sales, it works really well because clients can read you. They know whether you're there to sell something or whether you're there to help them out. And if you have that mindset of, I'm not here to sell them anything, I'm here to put them in a better position than they were when I got here. With agents, if you always try and put agents in the best position possible and put their needs before yours, they know that. And so if you continuously put people's needs before your own, you'll be taken care of too.
Simple.
Everything's simple.
It's true.
Yeah,
it's true. Well, dude, I appreciate your time.
I can do this all day.
Thanks for getting on. I know we can. We'll probably. I'm down. We just stay on here.
Yeah, we got things to do.
Yeah. I suppose we have to go work.
Yeah. I appreciate you, though,
dude. Yeah. Thanks, man. Anything I can do to help, I'm always here, as you know. And if how can they connect with you? People want to connect with you, learn anything, work with you, tell you to F off, whatever they want to do. How do they get you?
You can call, text. My number is 206-793-5922. Email is john@jgavinfinancial.com. Super simple. I get up early, so don't worry about my time zone. So anybody that, if I can help you out, if you want to tell me F all, whatever it is, you can reach out anytime.
He will do it at 3 a.m. legit. We have texted at, and I have the advantage because of the time difference.
Yeah.
I'm like, I get up early, and this fool's like waiting for me to get up. I'm like, how are you awake already? It's 2 a.m. where you're at. And I'm like, are you still up? He's like, no, I went to sleep and got up already.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, I actually don't think you sleep at all. I'm
just waiting for other people to wake up. I'm spending my mornings waiting for others to get up.
Yeah, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Anyway, dude, appreciate it. If we can help y'all, let us know. Y'all have a killer day. See you guys.
Thank you.